Good morning, YouTubers. This is the ShallowCross Sports Network with the Double A, bringing you another show. Just finishing up on the recaps of the games that happened last week, and we're going to talk about a little bit, preview the games coming up this week. But with that said, let's get right on into it. Well, this week, NCAA week 4 and NFL week 3, basically everything's just moving right along. Going to look at recap the game from Memphis, as well as recap the game for TSU and the other schools that we support on this channel. But anyway, with that said, let's get right on into it. Memphis won their ball game. Memphis won their ball game, and they had a pretty tough time starting out with Troy, but they were able to win. I think the score was 28-7. Troy gave them some trouble in that first half, but they were able to pull away. The quarterback, Lewis, is getting better and better with his recognition of the defenses and so forth, compared to what he saw out there in Nevada. And what he's seeing now in the American Conference. He's getting more adept with his receivers, and they're beginning to make some completions, some real good pass throws that he's making, and he's hitting the receivers kind of on average doing very well. So, but anyway, he's getting right into it. Brandon Lewis, it was 17-27, 213 yards, 7.8 average, 1 TD, 2 interceptions. Got to clean that up. And then, of course, Tucker Kilcrease, he came in after their starting quarterback got hurt for Troy. He was 10-25, 65 yards. So Memphis' defense did their job, stopped them. Rushing yards, Sutton Smith, he had 18 carries, 113 yards. And his longest was 52 TDs. And then Troy's L.J. Lovett was 8 carries and 50 yards, 6.2 average. And his longest was 21. The receiver, C. Branham, he had 4 receptions for 60 yards. His longest was 30. And then Troy's receiver, Roman Mothershed, he had 8 receptions for 58 yards, and the longest was 25. Memphis had 496 yards of total offense to Troy's 112. And like I said, Memphis had 2 turnovers, and Troy had 2 turnovers. First downs, Memphis had 21, Troy only had 12. Penalties, Memphis had 7 for 65, and Troy had 4 for 20. And time of possession was Memphis had the ball for 36 minutes and 56 seconds. Troy had for 23 minutes and 5 seconds. So just looking at the stats here, basic stats that I have right here in front of us, Memphis won the battle on defense. They was able to stop the run, and they was able to stop the pass of Troy. So Memphis' next big test coming up, it's going to even be bigger. They're going against SEC foe Arkansas. Arkansas is coming to Memphis to play. It is a home game for Memphis, so we'll be able to tell exactly what type of team Memphis has going into this game coming up. And And of course, Arkansas is one of the tougher teams in the SEC this year. Quarterback is exceptionally plays exceptionally well, and they got a pretty good offense, and they have a pretty good defense. So we'll just see what happens with this game. It's going to be a big game for Memphis, and I think that game starts at noon, and it's going to be on ABC, and I think you're going to be able to watch it on ESPN3 also. With that said, let's get right into the next game that we're going to recap. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay. The next game we're going to recap is Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee, they played Nevada. They went out there and they beat Nevada 14-13. Vandy, the quarterback, he was 27 of 44, 247 yards, 5.6 average, 1 TD, 1 interception. And Nevada, C. Purdy, that's Purdy that plays for the San Francisco 49ers. That's his little brother. He was 5 of 7 for 88 yards and 2.6 average, 1 TD, 1 interception. And I don't know if he was in the game that long, but he was basically stopped by Middle Tennessee. Jay Middlebrooks, running back for Middle Tennessee, was 10 for 67, 6.7 average, 2 TDs, 42 yards, the longest run for him. And Nevada, H. Turner had 12 carries for 90 yards and 7.5 average. Longest rush was 64 yards. M. Butler from Middle Tennessee, receiver, 7 receptions for 65 yards, 9.2 average. No TDs. The longest was 30 yards. Nevada's Jay Brown. He had 5 receptions for 58 yards, 11.6 average, 25 long. And then total yards, MTSU had 352. Nevada had 369. So Nevada actually had more yards than Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee had 7 penalties for 50 yards. Nevada had 4 penalties for 55 yards. And then Middle Tennessee State had 1 turnover. Nevada had 2 turnovers. And then first down, Middle Tennessee had 23. Nevada had 16. Time of possession, Middle Tennessee had 31. And 31 minutes and 10 seconds, as well as Nevada had 28 minutes and 50 seconds. So Middle Tennessee won the time of possession as well as the turnover battle too. And then of course they were able to move the ball better through the air. And this game was relatively close. The game finished up 14-13, so it was a defensive battle basically. But Middle Tennessee was able to come away with a win. That was their first win of the season. And then they open up with they go play. Can't remember who they're playing coming up this next week. Let's see. I think it's either Georgia. I think it's Georgia State. No, it may not be Georgia. I think it is Georgia. Vanderbilt's playing Georgia State. So we'll recap that game, Vanderbilt's game here next. But so let's move over to Vanderbilt, and then we'll look at next week, all the games for next week. So Vanderbilt, they played South Carolina. That was a big win. They won 30, I think it was 35-7. But Vandy, DePavia, he was really doing real well as a quarterback. And he was 18-25, 177 yards, 7.8 average, 2 TDs and 1 interception, 101.5 QBR. So he's playing pretty good ball. And El Dottie had to come in to relieve Sellers, who went out in the game with a concussion early in the game, and that was probably key to the game, because without Sellers, they were not going to beat Vanderbilt. It was 18-27, 148 yards. Dottie was. Average of 5.4 yards per pass. No TDs, one interception, and then he had a 65.5 QBR. Vandy's Jay Laster had that one big run for 44 yards, and that was the biggest rushing yardage for a running back on that day. And that, the longest one was 44. You had that one carry for 44 yards. And then you had R. Faison for South Carolina, 15 carries, 74 yards. And that average right there, I think it was 9.3, but that's a typo. And of course, the longest rush was 15 yards. And then, of course, Vandy's E-Stars had 3 receptions for 45 yards. South Carolina's Nick Harbor had 4 receptions for 66 yards. And Stars' longest pass reception was 24 yards for Vanderbilt. Total yards, Vandy had 323. South Carolina had 328. That's kind of deceptive, you know, but South Carolina probably was able to move the ball a little, but they just couldn't score. And then Vanderbilt had 7 penalties for 50 yards. South Carolina had 4 penalties for 55 yards. Turnovers, Vandy had 1 turnover. South Carolina had 4 turnovers. That's the key to the ball game. Those 4 turnovers really killed South Carolina. First downs, Vandy had 22. South Carolina had 20. Time of possession, Vandy was 35 of 43, 35 minutes and 43 seconds, where South Carolina had the ball for 24 minutes and 17 seconds. So that was a difference in the game also. Vanderbilt's got a stout defense, and they have a relatively good offense with Pavia. And I think they're playing Georgia State this weekend, which I think Georgia State was one of the teams they lost to last year. And so Vanderbilt's looking for revenge in this game coming up. And we hope they play well. Like I say, Vanderbilt's SEC team, they're ranked number 20, I think, in the top 25 right now. And so that's big news for Vanderbilt and Clark Lee. And we'll just see what they do this week coming up. And then the next ball game, the next team we're going to look at is TSU. I think we reviewed TSU and Alabama A&M, but we're gonna look at that again. I think I already reviewed that in another show. But Tennessee State lost that ball game, 21-23. That's 2 games this year. Tennessee State's lost by less than 2 points, around 2 points or so. And so Tennessee State dominated the time of possession, as you can see, 35-44. And they had pretty good passing game from McNair, the quarterback. And Rhymes, he led the team in both sides of the ball. He had 111 yards rushing, 24 carries, and he had 7 receptions for 64 yards. So he was a one-man bang. Alabama A&M's quarterback was very good. He was 329 yards passing, and he also ran the ball very well too. Even though M. Edwards, the fourth, he had 10 carries for 38 yards. So Alabama A&M won that game. So Tennessee State, they got a big game coming up against Tennessee Tech on Saturday at 3:30. Tennessee Tech is the team to beat, I think, in the Big South OBC. Tennessee Tech is a powerful team. They don't have any weaknesses anywhere on the defensive side of the ball or the offensive side of the ball. They're going to be a tough team for Tennessee State to play. And they're probably not as stout as North Dakota State is, but they're close. And we just have to wait and see what Tennessee State does. It's going to be a big, tough game for them. And then the next team we're going to look at, Austin Peay. Austin Peay's, I think I reviewed it earlier in the week too. Austin Peay, Parson is the starting quarterback, and he's a pretty good quarterback. He had 190 yards passing, 14.2 average, 1 TD, 1 interception, 118.7 QBR. My QBR may be different from some of the others because of the calculation that I'm using. So it's a quarterback rating is what I'm using. And his quarterback rating was pretty high. They played Morehead State. Morehead State is a non-scholarship football program. And so they won't have the players to play against Division I schools like Austin Peay and Tennessee State, Tennessee Tech, and all that. But Austin Peay was able to win that game, and they had 30 first downs to Morehead State's 10, so they stopped them on both sides of the ball. Morehead State couldn't pass, or they couldn't run either. So that was just total dominance by Austin Peay. And then, of course, C. Simmons, receiver for Austin Peay, had 5 receptions for 107 yards. He averaged 9.2 yards per pass catch. No TDs, and his longest was 50. And so that's what's going on with Austin Peay. Austin Peay, they're playing at Abilene Christian. I don't know that much about Abilene Christian, but they're playing Abilene Christian. That's a road game for Austin Peay. So hopefully they'll do well, and we'll see what happens on that when we recap that game later on, probably on Monday of next week. But anyway, that Austin Peay's on the road this weekend. And then, okay, so that's, and then of course the Titans lost to the, second loss to the Titans lost at home to the LA Rams. Cam Ward, he tried, but I think he's been sacked. I don't know if he was sacked 4 or 5, maybe 6 times in this game. But this is his rookie year. He was 19-33 for 175 yards, 5.6 average, 1 TD, 1 interception. And then, of course, Stafford was brilliant. You know, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, 23-33, 298 yards. And it was about 9.03 yards per reception that he completed. 1 TD, 1 interception. Had 102.8 QBR. Tony Pollard, 20 carries for 92 yards. He came real close to getting 100 yards in this game also. LA Rams, Kyron Williams, he had 17 carries for 66 yards, and it was 3.9 average. So Kevin Ridley came through a little bit better than he did in that last game against the Denver Broncos. He was 3 for 57, 9.2 average, 0 TDs, longest was 30. And then Devontae Adams, the receiver for LA Rams, he had 6 receptions for 106 yards. And Nuka, he was right behind him too. They was real close, but both of those receivers for the Rams are very good. The Rams have a stout defense, and I think Ward was sacked twice by former Tennessee ball Byron Young. So Tennessee Titans total yards was 252. They had 10 penalties for 62 yards. That's in 2 games in a row they've had a lot of penalties. LA Rams had 439 yards of total offense, 4 penalties for 29 yards. Tennessee Titans had 1 turnover. LA Rams had 1 turnover. First downs, the Tennessee Titans had 18 to the LA Rams 22. Time of possession was the Rams had the ball for 29 minutes and 53 seconds. Tennessee Titans had the ball for 30 minutes and 7 seconds. Tennessee Titans, they have to do better this week. They have the Indianapolis Colts, which is the division rival, coming in to the Nissan Stadium, and they got to play better on defense, and they got to play better on offense. At times, our offense was stagnant. We got to score more points, and so hopefully they'll get it together. I think they have some people injured. Javonte Sweat, he won't be out there on defense, and I'm thinking we have Ladarius Sneed. I think he's out on the injury list also. And I think Lamar Lathan, the big right tackle, I think he's out again for this game. And so So we got some injuries, and then I think Mullins, the running back, backup running back, one of them, he's out with a toe injury or something's wrong with him. So we'll just see who answers the bell on Sunday. But going back to look at the games coming up this week in the college ranks, as you see on my ticker there, the Tennessee Vols, they play UAB. UAB really won't be a big challenge for Tennessee if Tennessee plays ball like it should. Tennessee has some people out. Both the corners, the starting corners, looks like from all the reports from VolQuest and Austin Price and all the different people, Brent Hubbs, those guys, it looks like the defensive back Jamal McCoy will be back probably around Mississippi State during that game, hopefully, if we can get him back. Maybe October. And then Gibson, all the media outlets are saying he may be out for the whole entire year. I don't know what the extent of the injury that he has, but I think it's a plex or arm or shoulder injury. He may be out the rest of the year. And then, of course, we should be able to get Jackson, the Moe, the defensive tackle, should be able to get him back for the Mississippi State game. And then also David Sanders, the big offensive tackle, still no word on when he's going to be back. Don't know what his injury is, but we hopefully we'll get him back for that game against Mississippi State. And then I think that's it as far as the injuries are concerned. I know we got Darius Jackson, wide receiver. He's going to be out for another month. He injured himself in that game. And it was someone else that they mentioned was out on the injured reserve list, on the injured list. But with that said, that's it on Tennessee as far as their injuries and so forth. So Tennessee has got UAB. Should be a relatively easy game. Austin Peay, like I said earlier in the show, Austin Peay's playing Abilene Christian. Don't know what Abilene Christian has. Marshall is playing MTSU. Marshall could be a tough game for Middle Tennessee. And then you got Arkansas and Memphis. That's going to be a tough game for Memphis to win. And then, of course, Vanderbilt is looking for revenge against Georgia State, because that was one of the teams they lost to last year. And then, of course, Tennessee State is playing at home against Tennessee Tech, which is probably one of the better teams in the Big South OVC. So it's going to be a tough game for them also. And so that's the story on all the games coming up. With that said, like I said, I'll have another show probably later on tonight, and we'll go over some more things with the teams, and I'll present that to you when I get it. But we're gonna also talk a little bit about we're gonna do a Tennessee show later on and go over some of the recruiting prospects and some of the things that's happening out there with recruiting, in accordance with On3, Rivals, and 24/7 Sports, and also with VolQuest and all those folks down there in Knoxville. With that said, it's going to be the ShallowCross Sports Network with the AA. We appreciate you all looking in on this show, and remember to like and subscribe, and put some message in the comments if you wanted me to come up with some other stuff or talk about something. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. And with that said, this is the end of the show. This is the ShallowCross Sports Network with the AA. God bless, and we'll see you on the next show.